Oh, look. So, what do we have here? A bait and switch. So, the reviews are in, and they prove Clownfish was correct. Uh, Kevin Smith said, as a showrunner, he could have used their suggestions and blah, 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 being all snarky when they were talking about the show. And he kept saying how things weren't. And now it seems like their sources were correct. Uh, when the so Kevin said something along the lines of because I'm not pulling up all the tweets. I'll probably post them on here so you can see them since I'm doing some voiceover. Specifically saying stuff like rumor, sir, from Fox insiders, info. He threw in there with Netflix and Mattel and media swearing that the Clownfish and anybody speaking against this show, saying that it was the Teela show, are a bunch of liars. Well, like I said, as the reviews are going, it doesn't seem that they were lying. And it's also funny because when they said the Fox thing, and even though Clownfish referenced it as a rumor, Kevin Smith used to do the same thing. So that was interesting. Also, the fact that they did it like as a tweet or something and he jumped immediately on it, that does say something in itself. Thing, even when he was speaking with Screen Rant, they mentioned something about hearing about Teela having a girlfriend. He said there's no girlfriend, there's no relationship like that whatsoever. Saying that no, they're wrong, they're wrong. Well, I seen that Grace Randolph pointed out that Teela and Andrea, the race swapped girl, even though it's supposed to be a sequel series, they randomly just race swapped her to black, are now hinted as a couple, but they never pull the trigger, so that falls under queer baiting. And that is not cool. If you're going to do it, then just do it. If you're not, then don't. And honestly, you didn't need to. There's a lot of ways you could have played that off, and you decided not to. Kevin Smith even came at Clownfish on Up Rocks. So he kept going out of his way to consistently bring them up, say how they're wrong and how everybody's wrong and all this other stuff, just to come out and find out that apparently he just lied. So everyone watch the shows and they talk about, some people I've seen was like, well, they're there to sell toys. It doesn't matter. It was still a market. It was still a beloved show by many people, including myself. And this whole it was a boys club thing doesn't make sense because a lot of girls watched it too. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you have to be a fan to work on a project. You can work on something and not be a fan as long as you respect the material that you're working on. Which, if this is the Teela show and putting He-Man aside, in all honesty, then you did not respect the material. I'm speaking in this particular video is quite calm because I've already had my couple rants that I'm finishing editing. So I'm a little calmer now. Now, once again, like I said, so even Grace herself said a real fan would have told you don't do some of these things. She's explaining there's no strong female leads at all, and they were put to the background, which is already bad. IGN on their thing basically said it's the Teela show, subverting everything. Now let me clear something up here. Subverting in a franchise should never be. Subverting, that word should not be in there. Subverting what? Because you're saying subverting your expectations. That's actually not a good thing. I want my expectations met or blown past, not met or subverted. That's just plain stupid. And the way when they hear them say this crap like, oh, it's subverted, what they're really saying is they're changing what people liked, and then they'll complain about how people are going to complain about the stuff that they like that now they're jerks and istaphobes for. And now they're changing the narrative. They said this was a sequel series, but now they're saying it's a spiritual sequel. I'm like, well, that's because people probably started complaining about the inconsistencies of the show. And it's funny because you used a man to make the Teela show instead of using Teela. Maybe you could have brought He-Man back and then turned around and made a spin-off series with Teela. Or better yet, you could have said Tales from like of He-Man or Tales from Masters of the Universe, Teela, and did a whole story about Teela. But no, you had to lie. And now you're going to play it up like, oh, we're just going to do this thing and you're an istaphobe. You just don't like strong women. No, actually, if you would have just told me, hey, we're doing a Teela show about this particular character, we feel like she needs to be explored more, we feel like this, I actually would have watched it just off of the sheer fact it's connected to He-Man and to see what they would have did. But instead, they wanted to lie once again and use the character that everyone is recognized for to then push the agenda of the characters that they really wanted to do or their fake story they really wanted to tell, just so they could tell everyone about how much of jerks they are for not watching that, of course. So you're saying that this female character couldn't even hang on her own, which is already ridiculous. Because you don't think she's strong enough. Because if you did, you wouldn't have had to lie about it. And Kevin's fighting so hard talking about how much it is and, probably how it's strong and it wouldn't have fallen. And really, honestly, you shouldn't have lied. And now this is just going to be another Last Jedi. Now, I do know Grace also says something along the lines that, and some others have said, if you're a big He-Man fan, you're probably not going to like this show. And wondering like what happened to, call out Kevin. Really, honestly, he turned into a hypocrite. He even spoiled a thing that I won't spoil for you because I was pissed when I came across it. And it's like, why do you guys keep bringing this stuff back just to trash it? I saw independent IE streaming reviews. Said something like cringe sketch show, He-Man reboot that sorely needs the power of Grayskull. That's the headline. And it's not even a reboot. And that's enough said. They said some other things, but, it is what it is. And, Netflix person is talking about different stuff. I mean, I thought the CGI and stuff was good, but I know he said that something about the degradation of it was like the warmth of the drawings just wasn't there. Like I said, I'm personally fine with it. The music was forgettable, which sucks, and didn't grab original voice actors and that made it famous, for these famous young kind of people and stuff. Going very far from the source material dims the nostalgia. So all of a sudden, I'm seeing spiritual sequel instead of sequel too. Now you're going to probably hear people say things like, oh, it's woke, it's woke. Well, the reason why you're going to hear it's woke isn't because of a female lead. They need to stop trying to subjugate what they're saying. It's the agenda that you lied about. The pushing the men back, to push the women up front, but only to push them up front because they're women, not because they're great characters. And that's the problem. And why promote He-Man if it's not a He-Man show? That's not what you showed in your first trailer. It's all He-Man. Now, to be clear, I do like Kevin Smith movies. I actually have quite a few. I've been a fan of his for a while. I jumped for joy when I found out about Clerks 3 because I love the Clerks series. I have the cartoon show. I have the first movie with the original joint. I got the anniversary one, and I got Clerks 2. So, yeah. Just to see this is just sad. So, let me take a moment to read a couple of these quick reviews. Master Universe Revelation has the power to enthrall fans old and new from CBR. And as I read through it, nearly 4-year franchise, no character or piece of lore from the cartoon or the mini comics is too obscure. It's not a straightforward continuation of the syndicated classic, nor is it the woke He-Man some snipping culture critics have warned about. It's so much better than all of that. So, if Teela is taking over and He-Man is put in the background, it's woke. Because you didn't be straightforward about it. You didn't make it a Teela show. You made it all about girl power. And no, there is no other way around that. But I just wanted to read that part because you see how they keep, if you start reading through this with CBR, right? You'll see how they keep little bits here and there trying to kind of take pop shots because in the first 5 episodes, Netflix will release the other half of the season later year. Teela emerges as the hero Eternia needs at this critical time. So how are you going to sit here and say He-Man's Masters Universe is not woke if you were literally saying then Teela is the one who's the main character? You freaking hypocrites. I swear I wasn't going to get mad in this video. Criticism of Revelation by some corners of fandom was no doubt sparked by the rumor roll of Teela, who's exchanged her metal halter top and butt-hugging leotard for honest-to-goodness pants. However, she's earned both the spotlight and the costume change. So too has Evelyn, who finally moves out of Skeletor's shadow to become one of Revelation's breakout characters. You mean like in Funimation, how the females were the ones who had the original backstories? You freaking no-fan fake pieces of garbage? I even explained to my friend when he was talking to me about He-Man, I was like, actually, it's funny. I know more about the female characters than the male characters, and I watched He-Man for He-Man. But you see what I mean? They keep taking pop shots because they're like, the leotard, the butt-hugging leotard. Oh, you mean like how He-Man walks around in a loincloth? A lot of characters walk around in different types of clothing with loincloths and things like that. Stop trying to find fake things. You're pathetic. I swear I wasn't going to get pissed. Too late. Master Universe review for IGN. Easiest thing, big, bold, red letters, is the Teela show. Go screw yourself. Radio Times. Struggles of both fate. Now, they said something. This one, where was the ending? Because I actually thought this was an interesting thing how they said it. Let's see here. The fact that Netflix is rather oddly actively developing a second He-Man series. This is true with like some big mega crazy sword. A separate project to Smith's, but one that is, according to Mattel's Fred Sully, more firmly aimed at kids and families, only amplifies the feeling that this show, while far from a failure, is something of a missed opportunity with the family-friendly boxing between being ticked off elsewhere. Revelations might have been better off devoting more of his time to trying something different. He was talking about how this show, how it would like go into the adult realm. It sounds like a lot of this show is never pulling the trigger because they were too afraid to do something. The funny thing is, or we could have just had the 2001. That show was perfectly fine. I was excited and I'm still happy about that show. But this, the reviews are proving it. And I didn't want to go through and read all the reviews and everything to you, but yeah. So we'll see what this is. But as of right now, there's a lot of reviews that are kissing butt. But when I start really looking through, I mean, people who actually watched it, they're like, I don't know about that. So we'll see. Geek Protagonist, you stay safe, you stay healthy, you stay real, and I'll see you.